Welcome into KC Sports Tonight, Tuesday edition. I'm Katie Marr. That's Gabe Swartz. Gabe, spring training wrapped up today for the Royals. Did end with a loss, 4-1 to the Rangers down at Globe Life Field. But that means that we are only 3 days away from the start of the regular season, which the Royals will be on the road, of course, and then they'll have their own opening day at the K on Monday, which you can watch right here on KCTV5 at 3:10, and join us for a pregame show 2 hours before. Join us at 4:30 in the morning, where Mark Paulos and I are going to be with the morning crew live out there all morning getting you game day ready. What's your biggest takeaway from spring training before we look ahead to the season?
I know that there's people who are like, oh, they lost a lot. They finished in last place in the Cactus League. I'm here to say that doesn't matter. Last year, the team that finished in last place in the Cactus League, do you know who it was?
No. Was it the Dodgers?
No, it was the Seattle Mariners.
I was like, you're going to tell me it was the World Series champions?
Yeah, who won the AL West and went to the ALCS. So I don't think that it matters.
No.
And we are on to Friday, on to Atlanta. I think if anything, the Cactus League was a little watered down anyways because of the WBC, which the Royals were too busy putting on a show in the WBC. So I think whether it's Michael Garcia, Vinny Pasquantino, Bobby Witt, Salvador Perez, all these different guys who were doing big things for their national teams or the teams that they represented, because I wouldn't necessarily call Vinny a natural-born Italian, but he was on that team.
New Jersey.
Where's
the wine?
So it doesn't matter. Spring training doesn't matter, but the real stuff starts soon, and we're all so ready for it. Specifically, I know Friday's a big deal, but Monday, it's a little different. Like, the Royals always seem to open at home. They've opened at home more often than not the last decade plus. So starting it on the road is a little different, but it doesn't make Monday any less exciting for us too.
It gives people an excuse to call out of work and go to a ball game at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and maybe try the 999 or whatever it's called deal.
The watered down version, 4.5, as some people have called it.
The mini hot dogs and 9 beers and 9 innings. 9, we'll call it that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Royals, one of only 6 teams in Major League Baseball that are doing that. So you guys got to try it at some point this season, I guess. Why not Monday? Start the season off on the right foot, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I agree with your point where spring training results, it's like preseason NFL games. Like, we don't value them that much, and results there don't matter. I mean, the Chiefs have gone 0-3 in preseason games and won the Super Bowl the same year, so it's like, don't care too much, especially when about a month of spring training almost was spent with their best players and most of their starting lineup, normally with their WBC national teams. So not too concerned about that, but very excited for Monday. Opening day. Gabe, it's almost here. We've been waiting all off season. And of course, we know we have our pitching rotation announced as well. So are you surprised at all by who's going to be opening day pitcher for the third year in a row?
Third year in a row for Cole Reagans. I don't think that that's surprising at all. I think that a lot of this season is going to hinge on whether he's able to stay healthy or not for the Royals. And in terms of them hitting their ceiling, I think that the pitching rotation is so deep for the Royals that you look at the 4 or 5 guys that they're going to throw out there in Omaha this year, and for as bleak as things were for the Royals for 5, 6, 7 years ago, the pitching rotation in Omaha has several guys who I think would have been solid options for the Royals if they were available for them years ago when the rotation was completely awful. And this year, I think that, last year we had the example of Noah Cameron comes up and he surprised everybody,
and now he's a starter.
I don't think it would surprise anyone this year if there's an IL stint for anyone on the starting pitching staff and Ryan Bergert comes up from Omaha and pitches really well, because he pitched really well at the end of last season as well. And the Royals like what he's what he's got available to him. That's why they traded with the Padres to get him. So all of that is to say, I am not surprised by Cole Reagan's going first in the rotation. I am not surprised by the 5 guys that the Royals have opted to start the year with in the rotation. And I think that there's plenty to be optimistic about for it moving forward. So we'll see how the start of the year goes. But everything that Brian Sweeney has done as a pitching coach for this team for the last couple years has been really, really encouraging. And I think that is the thing that raises the floor of this team so much, is how good the pitching has been. And the big variable, Mark got a look at it yesterday, is the new fences and how that changes things. We'll see. But I still think that the pitching staff is going to be really good.
Yeah. What fans have been not every fan, and can't speak for every fan, but I know a lot of fans for years have said we have the hardest ballpark to hit a home run in Major League Baseball. We got to do something about it, especially when the Royals are just have not been a great hitting team historically in recent memory.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how that will change things when we're there on opening day, because I haven't actually seen the new fences brought in person, but Mark went out there yesterday and was telling me it's a visible difference. Like, if you're a person who's been to the K before and you can just kind of recall from memory, you can definitely tell like things have happened out kind of in the right field and all that stuff. There's more seats also, so more people get to go to games, and that's going to matter, of course, if and when there's postseason baseball to be played at the K this year. And there's going to be sellouts, of course, when that happens. Knock on wood, wherever wood is right now. But yeah, we're all excited to see if that's going to have any change on the Royals' hitting woes, if they're able to get some more runs on the board, all that stuff. I'm excited to see how the guys who played so well in the World Baseball Classic can kind of use that momentum and bring it into the season. And I hope that it's immediate, because if you're riding the momentum, may as well have it at the start of the season. Maikel Garcia is the World Baseball Classic MVP.
Yeah.
Like, that's huge. And he after coming off this breakout year, it felt like, with the Royals signing this long-term deal with them, and then World Baseball Classic MVP, he's coming back. Like, it just feels like the momentum is really going for Maikel right now. So, of course, we hope that continues. Bobby Witt Jr., it's like finally the country has noticed that Bobby Witt Jr. is very, very, very good at baseball and very good at the shortstop position. He was like kind of this breakout sensation in the World Baseball Classic, which is weird to say because we know Bobby Witt Jr. and we've been watching him do that stuff.
He's been an MVP finalist several times.
Yeah, like we've been watching him do this stuff for years, and it feels like all of a sudden the rest of the country is like, oh my God, wait, Bobby Witt Jr., who's this? So yeah, hopefully, that momentum carries there as well. And then I'm excited to see how the young guys do, because we saw Jack Caglione have a really good World Baseball Classic outing for Team Italy. And same with Vinny, and also, Carter Jensen right up there with Jack Caglione as an exciting young guy to watch who really kind of broke out last year. So yeah, that's what my biggest thing I'm looking forward to for opening day and just the early season in general. What about you?
Yeah, I think last year we started the season as people who watch Royals games frequently, and there was so much focus on the top of the lineup and the new addition of Jonathan India. And on opening day, Maikel Garcia didn't start. And by the end of the year, he was an all-star. And by a couple weeks ago, he was the best player on the team that won the tournament in the WBC. And it's not just like any team. It's a team that features a former MVP in Ronald Acuna. Mm-hmm. It's a team that features Eugenio Suarez, who's a monster power hitter and has had big moments, and even had a big moment in the tournament with the RBI double against the U.S. team in the championship game. So all of these things are to say, I don't necessarily know what this year looks like for Maikel, but I don't think that, and I think that the Royals, based on the way that they did his contract extension, the way that they've envisioned the left side of that infield at third base and shortstop with Bobby and Maikel, is they foresee him taking a leap forward that he could be in that conversation as the best third baseman in the American League. And obviously Jose Ramirez with Cleveland is really, really good and has held that position for the last half decade. But if Michael can be in that conversation, it really puts you into a spot where the floor for this team gets so much higher just because everything else is, as far as pitching-wise, has been so good. But to your point about Jack Caglione and Carter Jensen, I think those are the guys who unlock the massive ceiling for this team if either of them can be the top prospect and hit the level of play that they were drafted as, and honestly that Carter Jensen kind of delivered on in September last year, just in hints. Caglione showed the flashes of the power. There was obviously a lot of growing pains at the end of last year when he came up in June and on, but like you can see it, and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, people go back and look at the stats that Bobby Witt Jr. put together his first year. He obviously was a really good player, but he was nowhere near the player that he has become.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily know when it's going to click for people. So we'll see if that's this year. I think even you just look at the rest of the roster that they've rounded out, adding Matt Strahm to the bullpen, adding Isaac Collins to a corner outfield spot, even somebody like Lane Thomas. Those are all people who I think raise the level of competency. You look at the roster that started on opening day last year and the opening day lineup, and a guy like Kevin Biggio, like, no offense to him, but he didn't have a place in a starting lineup on a team that had playoff expectations. And in hindsight, that was pretty concerning for that team. I don't think that there's that level of lineup hole in this year's roster, especially if you go on Friday night and Jonathan India is hitting 6th or 7th in the lineup and Carter Jensen's hitting 8th or 9th if he's in there against Chris Sale. I know that he's a lefty, so we will see. I think there's so many reasons to believe, and I would say that I think that the Tigers are going to win the AL Central, but I fully expect the Royals to be a wild card team this year.
I like it. I like the confidence. We are hoping for playoff baseball in Kansas City, of course. And it all starts on opening day, which is just 6 days away. I'm going to say it again. Mark Palace and I are going to be on your screens at 4:30 in the morning with the morning crew. So y'all better wake up and watch the morning show with us, because we're going to have some fun out there at the K. We're going to drink lots of coffee, and we're going to get a look at the ballpark and see all the fans who get there bright and early. And then, of course, we're going to have a 2-hour pregame special live before the game starts, and that's at 1 o'clock. And then the game will be at 3:10. Hope you're all taking PTO and going out to the K, because it's going to be a fun day. Get some hot dogs. From baseball to basketball, because even though KU and Mizzou are out of the NCAA tournament, we have no other local teams dancing this year. March still goes on, and March action is still delivering, and it's always a good time to talk about March Madness, of course. Sweet 16 action coming up right here on KCTV5 Thursday and Friday. On Thursday, you're going to be able to see 11-seed Texas, which I guess we can call them a Cinderella, but not really. No, imagine their NIL budget.
We can't.
We can't. They're just an 11 seed. Taking on 2-seed Purdue. That's going to be right here in KCTV5 at 6:10 on Thursday. And then after that, around 8:45, Arkansas and top-seeded Arizona. As well that night on TNT and TBS is going to be, just TBS, Iowa against Nebraska, and Illinois and Houston. Those all sound like really good matchups. I'm very excited for Iowa and Nebraska, because the concept of those two teams having to all travel down to Houston to play each other when they're right next to each other is like really funny. And we know their fans are just dedicated and crazy. So I'm excited for that matchup. And Illinois and Houston, I think that's going to be such a good game. So I'm excited for that one. Of the Thursdays, what are you thinking?
Well, you mentioned that KU and Mizzou are out, so we have no local teams. I would counter with the Kansas City Hawkeyes.
The Iowa Hawkeyes.
Because Bennett Sturts, Liberty. We've got Cam Manyow. We've got Tavion Banks. There's so many guys on that roster that have ties to Kansas City, have ties to this area, went to high school in this area, were born in this area. There's several from the Springfield area. There's Ben McCollum himself, who is a Northwest Missouri State alum.
Four-time national champion.
A multi-time national champion. So between that and Keaton Wagler at Illinois, there are local connections that are still in the NCAA tournament, specifically in that South region.
Yeah.
And with Florida out of the tournament, in large part thanks to Iowa and what they put together on Sunday night, I know people, specifically KU fans, may not have paid a lot of attention to that game because it was happening during the first half of that game was happening while KU's second half comeback was happening. And I would assume a lot of people in a fit of rage may have turned the TVs off or stopped watching basketball for a little bit Sunday night and missed that. But keeping intact it's not necessarily a streak because UConn recently went back to back, but more often than not, it is proven that teams do not go to the second weekend if they win the national title the year before, and it's incredibly hard to do such a thing.
Yeah.
Iowa did that to Florida this year, and I know that this newsroom has at least one Iowa Hawkeye grad, and it has several from Nebraska, and Thursday night.
Stevens.
Yeah, so Thursday night will be a night that there's some animosity, maybe at least in this building, and I'm sure that that's not rare for what's going on around the Kansas City metro, because there's a lot of alums from those schools in this area as well. So yes, that's a big focus. There has not been as many upsets maybe, and everyone wants to have their essay or deep thought on, is Cinderella dead? What's the reasoning? All of these things. Is it just a small sample size? I don't know. I don't want to overreact to it, but the one thing you can say is that we get to a weekend like this, and Friday night we have Rick Pitino against Duke. We have Dan Hurley against Tom Izzo. There's so many good matchups this weekend that if you are able to, if you're a Mizzou fan, if you've had the week since Friday night to move on from another lackluster March from Dennis Gates, or if you're a KU fan and you can move on from a head-scratching loss or a head-scratching last 14 seconds of that game, then there's a lot to look forward to if you just enjoy watching college basketball, and I certainly do. So
me as well.
I'm looking forward to Thursday being back and college basketball being back on the TVs. Yeah,
it's going to be good. I mean, because then on Friday we've got St. James. I'm thinking of our Hy-Vee High School Team of the Week, St. James Academy.
Shout out.
Watch out for them on Thursday night on KCTV5. St. John's and Duke, Alabama, Michigan, Michigan State, UConn, Tennessee, Iowa State. I mean, these are like, we love Cinderellas, but it will still be fun to watch these games because these genuinely are just some of the best programs in the country. And it's funny you bring up that Florida-Iowa game and how no one was probably watching it. I totally forgot that they were playing at the time that they were playing at, and I was covering the WBIT second round game at KU. And once we all kind of gathered during that game in the media room to watch the end of the KU men's game, because it was kind of around halftime of the women's game. And then once it was over, I think everyone was just like basketball fatigued. And then I get a push notification like an hour later, and it's like Florida goes down. And I was like, the first thing I thought of was like, as someone who used to cover Division II basketball in the MIAA, I can't believe I didn't pick Ben McCollum to win 2 games this year, because last year I picked Drake to go to the Sweet 16 and they did, because he's just a winner everywhere he goes. So that was one kind of bracket buster that I'm a little mad that I didn't foresee, because I did pick Florida to win that game. But although I did not have them going back to the Final Four, I didn't think they were going to repeat this year.
I had Illinois. I have Illinois. My Final Four is at least still intact.
Mine as well, which is the good part. So our brackets are not busted. However, my bracket, when I look back at my first especially my first round, because I love upsets and I love to pick upsets. I picked all the wrong ones. All the wrong ones, Gabe. What's your worst pick of the first 2 rounds?
Well, yeah, in general, my bracket looks fine. I think I'm in the top 5 or 10, at least in the
not
in
me, my friend,
competition. But what I will say is this: I was thinking through at least some of the takes that were given on this show last week. I said Wisconsin was gonna have no trouble with High Point. That was wrong. I said Wisconsin was gonna beat Arkansas, even though everyone was hot on the Arkansas bandwagon. That was not correct. Arkansas waltzed to the Sweet 16. They did get pushed around a little bit by High Point. I also said Northern Iowa was going to beat St. John's. I said the same thing. It was 10-0. It was 13-0. A couple minutes in, that was not a good pick at all.
I know somebody who placed a bet on like that it was going to be within a 3-point game 2 minutes in. And they did not win that bet.
Yeah, that was not a good one. And I went back and forth on Mizzou Miami all week long, and ultimately ended up picking Mizzou in my bracket despite being on the show with Mark and saying I actually think Miami is going to be fine, that the home court advantage was going to be fine. So I talked myself
about Miami.
No, but I had talked myself into Miami, and then I got there to the bracket on Wednesday night right before as I was locking in my picks, and I settled on Mizzou. That was a disaster.
Mark Palos was very wrong about the football national championship because he and I did this show that night before the game started.
I recall.
And I gave him like 5 minutes to give us his like just best speech as to why Miami was going to win. And he gave us a whole show about how Miami is going to win because they have bigger bodies and real men that play football. They did not win.
They did not. Mark did not convince me one way or the other. I just led myself astray. So that's a hand up. My bad. Duke is still alive. They're in my Final Four. Illinois is still alive. They're in my Final Four. Arizona is still alive. They're in my Final Four. Iowa State.
I'm nervous.
Need Josh Jefferson to come back.
I'm nervous about that because they're in my Final Four. To have any chance
to make the Final Four. But I will say this. We talked during the Big 12 tournament week, all of us, and the conversations of, hey, Iowa State Arizona is a Big 12 tournament semifinal. It could be a national semifinal. Mm-hmm. That's still in play. Arizona and Houston was the Big 12 title game, and people said on that Saturday this could be a national title game. That is still in play. More probably in play than I think it's more likely that Arizona and Houston play in the national title game than it is that Arizona and Iowa State play in the Final Four, mostly because of the Joshua Jefferson injury and because the South region no longer has Florida in it. Although I will be rooting for Illinois and for Keaton Wagler to win on Thursday night. So
honestly, not like now. I mean, hindsight's 20/20, of course. I think my biggest regret in my bracket might be that, like, I think Illinois has convinced me that they're going to be a Final Four team, and I do have them losing to Iowa State in the Elite Eight. Or wait, Sweet 16. Sorry, they play on Thursday. Illinois plays Houston.
Illinois plays Houston.
I don't even know what I'm saying.
Iowa State
right now.
plays
too many Big 12
Tennessee.
Teams. Yes. I do think I might be regretting not putting Illinois in my Final Four because the more I've watched them throughout this tournament in their first 2 games, I think they might be convincing me that I was wrong. However, my biggest heartbreaks, I really thought South Florida was going to get it done over Louisville. They did not. My other biggest one was I had Vanderbilt go into the Elite Eight. They are not.
And if the ball wasn't so inflated, that shot probably goes in.
I know. That was I yelled out loud in the sports office when that happened. And I really thought that the Nebraska ball curse was going to continue, and I thought Troy was going to beat them in the first round. And that did not happen.
Not close
that was
at all.
A 30-point game. So, yeah, also thought St. Mary's was going to take down A&M. I am very, very happy, and I could go on a whole soapbox about this, but I'm very, very happy that Utah State beat Villanova because I will leave it on the record. I am a Maryland alum. Kevin Willard spent all of our NCAA tournament run last year flirting with Villanova about their head coaching opening, and then the day after we lost, he took the job there. Because apparently it's a so much better job than Maryland, apparently.
The Big 12 coaching jobs, so Utah State's Jared Calhoun is now at Cincinnati.
Yep.
Randy Bennett, who was at St. Mary's and lost in the opening round, he was too focused on his move to Arizona State. Love it. Thank you very much. Shout out Randy. And who am I forgetting? There's another Big 12 job that has been K-State.
Yeah.
Casey Alexander. So I think the Big 12, as far as coaches go, is getting better.
Yeah.
We'll see where that leaves KU if that job does come open, and we'll see if it does. I think we're all kind of in wait and see mode after the comments on Sunday night.
But yeah, I think my biggest heartbreak might be the fact that I picked Miami, Ohio to go to the Sweet 16, and they didn't. But just the same as you, okay, my bracket is definitely in way worse condition than yours in terms of the first and second round. However, the first and second round can't kill you. They can only hurt you. Yeah. And my final four of Arizona State, Houston, Iowa State, and Michigan State is still intact. I do have Michigan State taking down Duke, and I'm just going to say that if Siena had beaten Duke in the first round, I would have been very happy.
Yeah, if you have Duke winning it all or going to the Final Four or going to the national championship game, and you did not attend Duke and you're not a Walmart Duke fan, then you have just root for Siena. Like if you're sitting there on Thursday afternoon going, oh, I can't have my bracket busted. I need Duke to win. Unless you have significant money on the line for some reason or that or another, or you're connected to the university, root for the madness instead of your bracket and your $5 bracket pool.
Yeah.
That's my soapbox in March.
I am 100% on the same train. We want the upsets. You can't help it on the very first day when there's 4 basketball games on your screen at once and you see the double-digit seed is up over one of the top seeds in the country. Like, if you don't root for the number one or for the larger seed, you don't love March Madness.
Yeah.
You don't
your
love
bracket,
the game.
I don't remember who I picked 5 years ago, so who cares?
Yeah. Although I have been right about the last few national champions, so we're going to hope that continues with Arizona. Do you have Arizona winning?
No, we're not going to hope that continues. I have Arizona, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm so wrong.
Do you have Houston winning? Oh, wait, you have Arizona.
Yeah, I hope I'm incorrect.
We'll see.
It would be a shame if they didn't win the national title. That's what I'll say. They're so talented.
They're so talented.
It would be a miscarriage of justice if they don't win the national title.
Yeah. I feel the way about them that I felt about UConn when they were running it back. I was like, this is just the best team in the country by like a country mile. And if they don't win, then it's a shame. Oh, Arizona. Okay. Well, that's it for KC Sports tonight. Join us for KCTV5 News at 6 coming up in just about 30 seconds. Thanks for joining.